Welcome back to GMA. And that spike in travel as Europe reopens its doors to Americans and airlines add flights to meet the surge in demand. So we've got what you need to know to get the best deals on your summer vacation. Transportation correspondent Gio Benitez has more.
Hey, Whit, good morning. This really could be one of the busiest summer travel seasons. In fact, we're already averaging about 1.5 million air travelers a day, so time is running out to get those deals. This morning, we're just a week away from what could be the busiest travel weekend since the pandemic began. And the excitement over Memorial Day means airfare is set to go up too, an estimated 16% this spring. By July 4th, domestic airfare may be near pre-pandemic levels. The average round-trip ticket cost already soaring to $440.
This interest in travel, I think, is making it tougher for a lot of folks to try to get good deals for this summer.
With European nations reaching an initial agreement on allowing vaccinated Americans in, airlines are prepping for a surge in international travelers by adding a slew of flights. United adding 400 additional flights in July. JetBlue announcing it will now fly to Europe for the first time with 2 new flights to London. Danielle Wilson, a stay-at-home mom, one of the millions of travelers looking to get out of the house.
My husband, my son, and I have spent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last 365 days together. And we're not sick of each other yet.
So what can you do to make sure you're getting the best deal?
Booking at least 3 weeks in advance is going to be your best bet. And staying flexible with where you go is oftentimes the best approach.
And experts tell us you should book your flight no later than Memorial Day, so you have a few days left. That's when you're going to get the best deals. But remember, we do not have any change fees right now. So if you end up buying a ticket and then you find a cheaper one later on, you can still go ahead and change it, and then you'll have some extra credit left over for a future flight. Guys.
Gio Benitez, always a font of practical wisdom. Thank you. Another sector of the travel industry that is looking to stage a comeback, cruise lines. Norwegian, Princess, Carnival and Holland America have all announced plans to resume service this summer, starting with cruises to Alaska. So let's bring in Gus ANTORCHA, president of Holland America Line. Gus, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So we all remember those really tough stories at the beginning of the pandemic, like the odyssey of one of your liners, the Zaandam, where passengers spent weeks stranded at sea, quarantined in their rooms after that outbreak. So after all of that, how do you convince people to get back on board one of your ships?
Well, let me start by saying we're very excited to announce that we'll be returning to cruise in July from Seattle to Alaska. You know, a lot has changed since those early days of the pandemic. We've learned a lot, and we've been working very closely with the CDC to make sure that the procedures and protocols we'll have in place make it very safe to cruise. I argue with the work we're doing with the CDC, it'll be one of the safest venues for our guests to vacation.
I'd love to hear more about the safety. Who will be allowed on board? Do you have to be vaccinated to get on board? Let's start with that.
Yes, these initial cruises, the requirement will be that guests will need to be vaccinated, receive the final dose 14 days prior to embarkation. In addition, we're working, and our intent is to vaccinate the entire crew. We're working with our local ports, and those efforts have already started.
And what
on top of that,
go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, I'm saying on top of that, I mean, we're really building some layers of protection. So first thing is you'll be among a highly vaccinated population. And then on top of that, we're building layers of protection. Nothing is more important than the health and security of our guests and our crew. And so we've made significant upgrades. We've added upgrades to our HVAC system, including UV lighting, enhanced filtration. We've also added additional cleaning procedures and sanitation practices on board.
So what happens if somebody does get sick with the coronavirus while you're out at sea?
Sure. First of all, that's going to be highly unlikely. As I mentioned, it'll be a vaccinated group of people. But should, in the unlikely event that someone tests positive, the first thing is we have state-of-the-art medical centers on board. And so we will have, as part of that, testing equipment. And so we'll be able to test. If a guest has symptoms, we'll be able to test and we'll be able to diagnose if they're in fact positive. If they are, we have a quarantine section of the ship that will be for quarantining. And our medical team on board will be working with our operations center, our health operations center, in conjunction with the Coast Guard Operations Center, and really talking through what's the appropriate course of action. Part of the agreements with the CDC is to work through agreements with each of our ports. And so everything is taken care of before. And so each port, as well as the cruise line, will know exactly what to do and whatever the situation may present itself. And so whether that requires a debark or it's an asymptomatic case and there's no risk of infection, then they can remain on board in quarantine. So it really depends on the situation.
Gus Antorcha from Holland America Cruise Line, really appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming on a Saturday morning.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.